Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the One Hood Power Hour. I'm your host, Royce Jones. A lot has happened since our last program, and we're very excited to be back with you talking about the stories that matter with the people who care. This program is meant to give you some updates about what's been going on around Pennsylvania, as well as speaking with people who are in the news so that you can understand how you're impacted and what you can do to make sure that your community has what it needs. Remember, you guys, you can ask questions directly to our guests this evening. Just drop them in the comment section from wherever you are streaming. So speaking of being impacted, you guys hear about this? Over the weekend, Pennsylvania made unfortunate headlines after Governor Shapiro revealed that an individual committed an act of arson at the governor's mansion. And now reports are alleging that this person meant to cause harm. Here's what the governor had to say. Okay, I don't know if that's going over on your end. We can come back to it.
Last night at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, while my family and I were asleep upstairs here at the governor's residence, one of the state troopers assigned to our detail banged on our door, woke us up and told us we had an emergency and needed to leave immediately. Together, we secured all of our children, our 2 dogs, our family that was staying with us, and the troopers safely evacuated us from the governor's residence. Last night, we experienced an attack not just on our family, but on the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania here at the governor's residence. But we do know that this attack was targeted. We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay. This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay. And it has to stop. We have to be better than this.
That video courtesy of Newsweek, and you can see all of that damage that was left behind in that fire. One Hood Power is very thankful to the first responders who acted swiftly to assist the Pennsylvania First family, and we do wish them a speedy recovery. Today, Council President Dan Lavelle introduced legislation to extend paid leave for those in the city of Pittsburgh. An ordinance passed in 2015 requires employers with 15 or more workers to grant at least 5 days of paid sick time per year, while those at smaller businesses may have up to 3 days. Lavelle would add an additional 4 paid sick days and 3 for employees of smaller companies. The legislation comes at a time when the city is working to recruit more talent with worker-friendly practices. So you might remember that last week we talked about students who received notices that their visas were being revoked by the federal government. Well, despite criticism, the administration is now doubling down, potentially subjecting even more students to revocations. They are also entertaining the idea, apparently, of sending citizens accused of violence to the El Salvador prison known as the Terrorism Confinement Center. That center currently holds hundreds of immigrants who have been expelled from the U.S. The University of Pittsburgh, you guys, is being sued by the ACLU. The ACLU is alleging in federal court today that Pitt violated the First Amendment by targeting a student organization that was advocating for Palestine. Those who are part of Students for Justice in Palestine claim that they were placed on indefinite interim suspension. The ACLU describing this as retaliation for the club's criticisms of the school and pro-Palestinian stance. At this time, the university has not offered any comment on this ongoing litigation. The ACLU of Pennsylvania is asking the court to order the university to lift the suspension and cease further disciplinary proceedings against that club. So one question that we are asking during tonight's Power Hour is, what does it mean to defend important services that our communities rely on? How can folks get involved in organizing? What happens when they take up the mantle? And tonight we have the opportunity to sit down with two very dynamic speakers to find out. Today, by the way, is tax day, and it is the filing deadline for millions of Americans to submit their tax returns. But what does that mean in today's climate? Well, we know somebody who knows the answer. Chardaé Jones is a writer and author from Braddock and currently serves as the regional organizer for Penn Policy Center, where she focuses on organizing and amplifying events promoting the federal Fight Back campaign to stop cuts to critical social safety net programs. Hey, Chardaé.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm well. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of people that came out in different parts of Pennsylvania today for the tax day rallies.
Yes. And, first of all, we want to thank you for sitting down to talk about some of that with us. Our first thing that we really wanted to get into with you was what exactly is the Penn Policy Center, and what kind of work do you guys do there?
It's awesome. We help organizations fight for democracy and freedom and seek justice and transparent government in Pennsylvania. Partnered with the Pennsylvania's Together campaign, which is a group of grassroots organizations. We campaign to create tools and educate political officials, grassroots organizations, and just everyday Pennsylvanians and these partnerships help us build every day as we're growing to help create a transparent government, because you can't help what you don't know. And we try to dissect and digest policies that our government purposely makes confusing to help everyday people understand them.
Yeah, and can you talk to us a little bit about the Tax Day of Action and what that is?
Yes, it's a day all over the state where we were bringing attention to calling for billionaires to pay their fair share of taxes, because the rich, they keep getting richer and we keep paying more taxes to everyday Americans. And we want to invest in things that actually help our communities, like schools, healthcare, and childcare. And we're against more tax breaks for billionaires and cuts to pay business taxes. Instead, we want to support a fair state taxes and relief for low-income workers. It just seems like common sense, but our elected officials don't seem to think so nowadays.
Yeah, is there anything different about tax season this year compared to past years?
Yeah, it seems like Pennsylvania is slowly trying to lower the big corporate tax rates, which help large companies save money, but those aren't the people that need to be saving money. At the same time, there's been an expansion of they're making little attempts to help the everyday people, but this tax year brings wins for big corporations and big wins for big corporations and little wins for everyday Americans. And we're the people that hold this whole system up. Where is our slice of the American pie?
Yeah, I mean, Chardaé, why do you think it's important for people to know where specifically their tax dollars are going and being spent?
Because if we aren't being nosy to know where our tax money is going, then we can't hold the people that we pay our tax money to. We actually pay their salaries. We can't hold them accountable. So we need to know how they're spending our money, because it is our money when we pay taxes.
Yeah, I mean, and is there anything that people should know about how that money is being spent, or where it's being spent? what are some pointers that we might not be aware of?
Like, a lot of people don't know that they could go to their local council or they could go to their local government and ask and file a right to know. Like, I'd like to know where my money is being spent. It's eye-opening. A lot of people don't realize that this is a thing that you can do. Also, the budget is public information when we have a budget, but we're in a situation right now where the state doesn't have a budget and neither does the federal government. So this is definitely a time to hold them accountable.
What about a people's budget? What is that?
The people's budget is, oh my goodness, it's amazing, where it was a vision where the tax dollars should be spent by and for the people. It's about investing in community things that actually matter, like quality public schools, affordable housing, like clean drinking water, healthcare, and good paying jobs, instead of giving more tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. This people's budget calls for using our resources to take care of each other and build a Pennsylvania where everyone can thrive and not just that 1% of wealthy people.
And we don't have that here. I'm assuming
we don't have that here. We do not have that here.
Does anybody have it? Who has it?
It would be amazing if Pennsylvania had it. It seems like a dream right now.
Does anybody, are there any states that have that, or is it kind of just in the ether right now as an idea?
People have proposed it in multiple states. I'm not sure if anyone has it right now. It seems almost too good to be true.
Yeah. What would it look like for us to have that? I mean, how could life just be better for all of us who are paying taxes if we had a people's budget?
Every time the people's budget comes up, I've seen people call it socialism, and socialism is a bad word. You can't say socialism, because how dare we put our money towards helping each other instead of lifting the people that already have all the money up.
Yeah. So, and who's driving the advocacy for that here? Is that something maybe your group is pushing for right now?
We are pushing for billionaires paying their fair share, but we haven't talked about the people's budget quite yet.
Yeah. And also, I know you were talking about earlier just the level of people who showed up to address and speak out against that very issue. How many people were there? Where were you? Take me there. Talk to me about that.
The people across the state, there were people from York, PA. There were people from Philadelphia. I think we activated at least 20 of them all across the state. It's amazing to see people get together for a common cause. And we put a collage of the photos of different places together. And one city even had a big cat mascot to stand for, like the fat cats up in DC just hoarding all the money type situation. It's somewhere entertainment, some included free food, and some of them made a whole day out of it.
Yeah, and you I see, at Penn Policy Center, you guys make whole days, weeks, months, years, to speak out about a lot of this stuff. I mean, what does your work look like after, today's the tax deadline, but I'm sure your work doesn't just kind of stop now. No. You're going to keep advocating. So talk about that continued work.
We're advocating to save the safety net, because Medicaid and Medicare and SNAP are on the line with this new budget that's being proposed. And we want to make sure that those things don't get slashed, because everyday Pennsylvanians and everyday Americans rely on Medicaid and Medicare and SNAP. And we're like, whoever and however we have to phrase the conversation of this is not something that everyday Americans and Pennsylvanians want to lose, we phrase it that way.
Yeah, and are people listening? I mean, we've had other people on the show who talked about very sort of similar things and expressed similar fears about those programs potentially being cut. From your perspective, what are people saying? Like, are we going in the right direction? Are you noticing any interest in people wanting to sit down and sort of talk about that?
People are wanting to sit down and talk to their elected officials, and we are currently in a space where some elected officials don't want to sit down and have town halls and speak to their constituents that pay their salaries. And that seems to be a big problem. And we're like, you have to, these are the things that we depend on to live. SNAP and Medicaid and Medicare, without that, that is a lifeline for some people.
Yeah. Yeah. And so again, your work is just going to continue,
Until we get
for
a
the next
budget.
4
Hopefully we
years,
can. Yes.
you
We
know.
just keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah. What else are you guys working on? Anything else that you want to share with us this evening that you might have coming up?
We post our events at penpolicy.org, where we keep running with like last week, we just are fresh off of just going to DC. We had a bus of people from different places in Pennsylvania go to DC to rally. There was a couple hundred of us. But for more events, you can check out penpolicy.org, because we're forever updating the list.
Cool. I know you said that you activated at least 20 people, right? Today, and I'm sure you guys are always looking for more people to join your mission. You're looking for people, maybe even to volunteer. How can people get involved in your work? Is it through volunteerism, engaging, sharing posts? Like, how can people support
All of
you?
that is very helpful. You can sign up at the penpolicy.org website to volunteer, or just sharing. Sharing puts another eye on it, and maybe someone who didn't know about Penn Policy Center will want to go out and protest or organize their own event over and hold their elected official accountable.
Okay. Anything we missed tonight that you wanted to tackle with us?
No, I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chardaé. Have a good rest of your evening.
You do the same.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So we want to turn to our next guest, you guys, this evening, who many of you know for her groundbreaking work. Tammy Thompson is joining us. Tammy is the president and CEO of Catapult Greater Pittsburgh, a nonprofit organization that focuses on anti-poverty initiatives and economic justice. She has over 20 years of experience in leading and managing community-based programs that empower and support low-income individuals and families. Hey, Tammy. I think I got you. Wait.
I'm mute because we've only been doing this for 5 years. So,
Okay. Listen, you know what? I am still like, I tried to log on to Zoom the other day for something. We're not in Zoom right now, but I tried to log in onto Zoom, and it was like, it was the first time ever. So I'm always just, we're doing our best. We're doing what we can.
Listen, we are absolutely doing our best, and everybody, everybody should be extending grace to everybody right now. It's a lot going on.
I agree with that. It's a lot going on. It's also a lot going on over at Catapult Pittsburgh. Will you talk to us a little bit about what it is you all do over there?
Yeah, so our mission is really based specifically in creating what we call economic justice opportunities for folks throughout Allegheny County. Our primary emphasis has been on increasing economic mobility statistics for Black families in Allegheny County, but we serve the entire Allegheny County area. We do that through two main vehicles: ownership and entrepreneurship. We chose those two types of programs because they are the most common ways for people to build wealth in this country. So we have some pretty dynamic programs on both home ownership and the entrepreneurship side.
Yeah, and you also mentioned statistics. Do you have any statistics available off the top of your head tonight, that have to deal with those two pillars of home ownership and entrepreneurship as well?
Yeah, one of the reasons we chose home ownership as a vehicle, we think ownership is so important. I think that we're all about to see, based on some of these executive orders that are coming out of the federal government, and just in general, how hard it's been to build wealth in this country for Black folks. Home ownership of any asset that is able to be passed down from generation to generation is very, very important for breaking the cycle of generational poverty. Our home ownership statistics have not changed very much over the last 60, 70 years, unfortunately. I have some in front of me, though. Home ownership rate in 2023 was approximately 45.7% of Black families own homes in comparison to 74.3% for white Americans. The mortgage denial rate for Black applicants is approximately 20% compared to 11% for white applicants. In 39 states, Black homeowners spend more than 30% of their income on housing costs. So this is not just specific to renters. Black homeowners are also struggling. Here's one that has really caught our attention and makes me a lot more affirmed in a decision that we made last year to start a program to help families keep properties in their family by making sure people understand the importance of developing a will, and making sure that property is deeded properly so that there's a guarantee that that house will remain in ownership of that family. But nearly 70% of Black homeowners over the age of 50 do not have a will or trust, compared to 35% of older white Americans. So there's a lot of things that are from a statistic standpoint that prove that homeownership has been more challenging for a lot of reasons, for a lot of systemic reasons. Um, a reason why Black homeownership has remained under 50% for 70 years. That's an extraordinary statistic to me. It always stands out. But I think the other one is really important is thinking about once we do become homeowners, how important it is to do the work to make sure that that asset stays within the family and thus begin to create generational wealth opposed to generational poverty. So those are home ownership statistics that still remain pretty grim. I hate it. But on the upside, there are more of us who are becoming entrepreneurs. 97% of Black owned businesses have fewer than 20 employees, but between 2017 and 2022, Black businesses increased by almost 60%. Black owned businesses contribute over $200 billion in revenue in 2022. So Black business is on the rise. I think that is an incredible statistic. When those Black homeowner or Black entrepreneurs start to get access to business and brick and mortar on main streets in Black communities, you also start to see the shift in Black homeownership numbers increasing. So that's one of the reasons why we've been so intentional about creating brick and mortar opportunities on main streets for Black businesses, because that is just the way the cycle works. The more Black businesses that you have on main streets, the more the statistics around home ownership in those communities rise. And you know, although I know everybody is not supposed to be a homeowner, everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur, and that is perfectly fine. And I always want to reiterate that to people. I don't want people to ever hear us promoting home ownership and entrepreneurship as if we think it's the end all be all for economic mobility. It's not. It just happens to be in this country, those are the two that have historically helped people create wealth and wealth that can be transferred from generation to generation. But what we do want people to know is that for the folks who do aspire to that, either homeownership or entrepreneurship, Catapult Greater Pittsburgh is here to help you prepare for that. And when we talk about preparation for ownership, that also includes emotional and psychological readiness. It's not always just about do you have the money, do you have the credit? It's also about are you prepared emotionally, psychologically to sustain these assets over time, because it is a lot of work. It's a huge responsibility and it's a huge commitment. But we are committed to creating a safe space for people to educate themselves about these opportunities, and also creating a safe space for people to be accountable for their decisions, because that is really important for success in both homeownership and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and what would you say? I mean, like you said, first of all, it is great to see sort of the tide changing, and in some ways with Black entrepreneurship numbers increasing, and then consequently home ownership numbers following suit. But like you pointed out, not much has changed over the past several decades, and in terms of home ownership, and it still being under 50% for Black homeowners. So what are some of the driving forces, do you feel, that have been suppressing those numbers, keeping them from growing, and why we are still under 50% for Black home ownership statistics?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons. The ones that are really apparent to me are wages. In order for people to be competitive in the housing market, you have to have the income to compete with people who can outbid you, right? People who can borrow more. Lenders have to be willing to focus in areas that might have lower loan return on investment, right? If you're focused on working with people from communities who, their max amount to purchase might be $200,000, and you have the option to put your focus and your marketing in a community where the average home is $500,000, many of these lenders are focusing on those communities. Um, I think that people have to take some accountability. If you want to be a homeowner, if this is something that you aspire to, you have to do the work. We have to change our mindset. We have to change our habits. We have to recognize that there's a level of sacrifice required, to go into this type of transaction that will be the biggest investment that most people will ever make. Uh, you know, you might have to pull back on your happy spending and your fun spending in order to save for a down payment and your closing costs. And some of us just aren't ready to make those sacrifices. Many of us, though, haven't been taught. We haven't been privy because of the lower number of statistics. There are many of us who would be the first in our family to ever purchase a home. So for a lot of us, it's been a lack of modeling, right? We haven't seen other people do it, so we just maybe didn't think for us. If the majority of people are renting and haven't been having discussions about home ownership, you really start to believe this isn't something that's for me. And we get that a lot. We get a lot of folks who show up nervous. You can tell they're visibly afraid. And they start to tell us that this is something that they never saw themselves doing. So some of this is just, we need to have some different conversations. We have to get out in the community and have conversations with people and start making home ownership look more attainable, because it is. Now, unfortunately, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I've been warning people for a long time that the window of opportunity for low to moderate income home buying is closing. And now we're at the where the door is being closed. The window is being closed through some of these executive orders that are coming down. There's a big shakedown happening behind the scenes. A lot of banks are being investigated to make sure they aren't offering special purpose mortgage programs that will benefit one group of people over another, is how they see it. So a lot of programs benefited first time home buyers, specifically first time Black home buyers. A lot of these programs are going away. The federal government is defunding them, or they're attempting to make it illegal for lenders to even offer programs that are specific to helping increase Black home ownership rate. And so there's a lot of programs that are going away. They might not go away permanently, but they most likely will go away within this administration. And if they don't permanently go away, they're going to make it really, really tough for people to offer these types of programs and special credit, special purpose programs. They're going to make it hard for lenders to actually implement them. We're already hearing rumblings about certain types of federal funding that is specific to increasing home ownership rates is starting to go away already. So there will be a lot of changes. I don't think they will be permanent, but I think people who have been on the fence about home buying and maybe didn't make that leap, I think it's going to be a lot more challenging for a lot of folks to purchase now.
Yeah, and then, to think about all of these hurdles, right, that we have to go through to even get the keys to a home, maintain this home, and then, like you mentioned, a lot of it and all that hard work is potentially being just kind of flushed down the drain when nothing is left and there's no estate, there's no will, and now the home is just sitting there and you may or may not be able to even have access to it. So generationally. So I really wish that we could, if I could climb up on, if I could climb into that rocket that Gail King and everybody went up in, and I could go up there and then skip that and hop onto a satellite and broadcast this message of yours to everybody with a phone. If I could just hijack a satellite so that everybody could hear what you're saying, because you're right. It's about the conversations. People need to be having these discussions. They need to hear you. We need to hear more from you everywhere.
Yeah, so I do want to give a little shameless plug, because you don't have to yell far, because I'm here and I hear you. And Catapult did launch a program last year. We call it CLEAR. It is the Clinic for Legal Equity and Repairs. It's doing exactly what we talked about, providing information to people, helping educate people about what exactly estate and succession planning is. It's really interesting. We have to pay attention to words. And I keep telling people words are important and they are powerful. Estate sounds like it's for rich people, right? When people hear estate planning, they immediately tune out because they're like, well, they ain't talking to me because I ain't got no money. That's something for rich people, but it is for us. If you own an asset, it is for you. So, we're thinking of ways to shift that language, change it so that we can translate it into something that people feel comfortable with. So it's not estate planning, it's what you're going to do with this house when you die. Right? Who do you want in this family to have this house? Because you have to get it on paper. Right. So we have to have these conversations with our elders. We have to have these conversations with anybody who is a homeowner. You have to preserve the asset. You have to tell it where to go when you die. And that is estate planning. It's as simple as developing a will or adding somebody to your deed. That way they don't even have to go through the probate process. So there's ways to do this. We're offering workshops. We're also helping people who are in this issue, someone who maybe their parent or grandparent didn't have a will. There's a property that you're trying to keep in the family, but because you don't have your name on the deed, you don't legally own it. That prevents you from getting assistance if you need repairs. So the URA has great programs. There are state and county programs that can help people fix roofs or get new furnaces. But if you're not on the deed, you do not technically own a house. I don't care if you've lived in this house since you were 2 months old. You can't get a line of credit. You can't go to a bank. You can't get homeowners insurance. You can't make tax payment plans if the house begins to fall delinquent in taxes. So it is really important for the sustainability and preservation of homeownership in our communities for people to know how to transfer these properties to the right family member when you pass away. Because it's not a question of if you're going to pass away. You're going to. And you have responsibility to your family and your community to make sure that your house doesn't get in a position where it could potentially go vacant, become blight, abandoned property in our communities. And it's one of the reasons why we're seeing so much blight and vacancy, is because people who worked really hard to buy their homes. I mean, people before us, just imagine what somebody had to go through to purchase a home in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s.
Mhm.
And to know how hard they worked and how much they invested in having a home for everybody to come to, and then they die and it's just gone. It becomes a blighted, vacant eyesore in the community. We can prevent this. We want to help people prevent it, but we've got to get educated. And quite honestly, I need people to fund this program. Y'all need to quit playing. Right? These are the types of programs y'all should be funding, because solving an issue like this is not just about an individual or an individual family. This is about preserving communities. This is about helping communities come, to gain the type of market income and the market rate that is happening in other parts of the city. Why is this not happening in our communities? Well, because our communities are full of blight and vacancy.
Mhm.
And some of our homeowners, we got to be responsible, but our government has failed us in that way as well. We've been struggling with blight, vacancy, and abandonment in the city for a long time. And unfortunately, it is predominantly Black communities that are impacted by this the most. So we're going to do our part as an organization that is committed to serving our neighborhoods, but we've got to be accountable as homeowners and make sure you're doing your part to make sure that your property doesn't become a vacant and abandoned property when you're gone.
Yeah, and so with all of that said, and all of the history and all of the work that you do, I wanted to take a quick pivot to ask, what is your history with the housing board?
Mm. The Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh
Yes.
ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I believe that our city housing authority has failed the residents of the city that depend on that agency to function effectively and efficiently. They failed.
Mhm.
It's just there's no other way to say it. Um, I believe that the housing authority has contributed to our affordable housing crisis in a way. And I believe that if we're going to do better by people and we're going to get creative and innovative about how we utilize that agency to resolve affordable housing crisis, we need new leadership. We need someone who's willing to do different things, to be creative, who wants to be innovative, who wants to treat their staff like they matter, and who wants to treat their community like they matter. And I just don't think we currently have that. I mean, I feel really strongly about that. So I served on the board previously. I quit because I'm not happy that the leadership contract had been extended. And I resigned, and then I was recently, over the last couple of months, asked to return to help usher in, do a search and help usher in new leadership. That is my goal, is to attempt to find someone who, in partnership with the rest of our board members who are committed to that as well, to finding someone who is passionate about people, while also being passionate about, managing the business of the authority, because they both are important. But I'm always going to lean to doing that work from the lens of the people who need it most is just really important.
Yeah, and so are you back on the board? Are you officially back? They reeled you back in. You're there.
They reeled me back in, and
Okay.
quite surprisingly, actually made it kind of messy
Mm.
to come back. It's kind of
Hmm.
messy for a while. I'm past it though. I'm not mad anymore. I'm not mad anymore. I'm fine now. But yeah, it was weird.
Now, okay, so I'm hearing there's some sort of, was there some kind of pushback at council, or like what is this all about? Talk to me about that?
Well, I made my assumptions of what it was about because I still haven't really gotten an answer, but I have some theories, right? Um, one of the council persons made it clear in the council interview, which, by the way, I've been in multiple council interviews before because, again, I served on the Housing Authority Board previously, and I also currently serve on the City of Pittsburgh Land Bank Commission. Okay. So I've been through this city council interview process multiple times. I'm thinking it's just a formality. I show up, I'm going to answer my questions. But the tone of this particular interview was very different. Um, it was different. There were a couple of council people who made it clear that they weren't happy with the new appointments. They had different reasons why they weren't happy, which is their right. They serve districts. They felt like there should have been more representation from their district on, being appointed. And again, that has nothing to do with me. I was asked to be here, so I don't have anything to do with who else was appointed. But to be honest, Teresa, Councilman Kel Smith was asking and saying some things in the interview that were just weird. It just didn't feel right. Words were sort of being used that I thought were inflammatory, and I couldn't understand why she was using those words, talking to me, because we've worked together before. I've known the councilwoman for almost 15 years. So we're aware of each other's work. But this interview was strange. It was one of the first questions. Oh, not question, it was a comment. She let me know that she has heard me speak because most people have heard opinions about how I feel about the housing authority and its current leadership. And she made it a point to let me know that she disagreed with me on that and that she thought that the current leadership is the best that we've ever had, I think were her words. So I was like, okay, well, all right. But she made it a point to say that in the public meeting. And she began to ask if our organization received any money from the city. And I was like, no, but we should be. I wanted to make that clear. We don't receive money from the city for the work that we do, but I think we should. And I'm going to say that every chance I get. And she said, well, you can't do that. You can't serve on a board and receive public funds. And I was like, oh, that's not true. But okay, we don't. But well, if I find out, we're going to be investigating, she said. So there were two conflict of interest. She just kept saying conflict of interest and investigation. And it didn't feel right to me that she was saying that and saying it publicly because to me, it felt like it was coming out of Trump playbook. Things don't have to be factual. As a matter of fact, I can know that what I'm saying is not factual, but just say it enough times, it will raise some eyebrows. People will start to think. People will start to wonder. And I can't be more clear about the fact that I don't play those games about my reputation or my integrity. And I won't allow anybody to play with me like that. But I didn't say anything. It was weird, but I said, all right. Then I saw a quote in the Tribune that was sort of repeating that again. Conflict of interest, conflict of interest. And I was like, ugh. Yeah, so there's a lot of funniness going on. I actually found out that the Housing Authority's General Counsel also called the city solicitor, questioning whether or not my appointment was valid and mentioning that there should be an investigation done by the city solicitor to, again, make sure that there was no conflict of interest. And I'm like, what is going on? So, in my opinion, there were two things happening. One, because she is friends or is or in support of the current leadership at the City of Pittsburgh Housing Authority. She felt it necessary to do her best as a favor to keep me off that board. Or she made a very deep assumption that because Mayor Gainey appointed us to the board, that he was only putting his supporters or people who were politically motivated on that board. And either one of those, to me, is a affront to my integrity. Number one, I don't even play the game of politics. I avoid politics like the plague. The only reason I accept appointments from any mayor, because the last time I was on that board, I was a pseudo appointment. Okay. So it's not about politics for me. It's about being in the room to present the best interests of the people that I serve. Because we know what happens if we're not at the table. We should all know how important it is that we are volunteering, by the way, volunteering our time to ensure that the interests of the people we serve and the communities that we serve have a voice in these rooms, that their interests are being considered. That is the only reason I serve on these commissions, not because I don't have anything else to do. I got a lot to do. I'm a busy woman. Okay. So I think that it really bothered me for that reason specifically. I'm here as a volunteer to try to serve my community. Don't try to get me wrapped up in politics. Don't try to diminish my integrity or my reputation because you are embroiled in politics. And, you feel like you have to do a favor or this is a political, like I'm not playing these games. And so it's just really important to me that I responded to what I felt was disrespect. I felt disrespected. And not even all of this conversation, these statements were made publicly at an in-person meeting that I wasn't in, but it was told to me that it came up again. Conflict of interest in a meeting that absolutely had nothing to do with me or any of this. So it was just weird. It was strange. My instincts told me that it was something much bigger than me at play, that I was sort of trying to drag me to some political, I don't know what it is, but I just wanted to make it clear, and I'll make it clear again today, that I don't play politics. I won't be used as a pawn in anybody's political games. I am here to serve the people, and that's it, and that's all.
Yeah, and that's something that you spoke out about publicly as well, right?
Yeah.
And so, with that said, I did want to get to just thank you for, first of all, breaking that down, and sharing that with us. I did want to get to some of just the positive things really quickly. I know we're kind of pressed for time, but what positive work do you really hope to continue to do, and in housing policy, and what do you want that to look like? How does that look like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think from a policy perspective, first of all, we're going to have to fight back against this hunt that I think is happening in terms of being specific about working to increase the Black-white wealth gap.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who believe that showing deference or giving a group of people more resources or more information for the sake of getting to equity. The people who think that's reverse racism, they are in control right now. And there's no denying that. They're in control. We are going to have to be clear about, from a policy perspective, these are facts. These statistics are not made up. These are real things. Like these are things that have studied and proven. And I think from a policy perspective, I'd like for people to be presenting that information from a factual standpoint, and producing evidence that shows that it's necessary to repair, right? Call it reparation, whatever they want to call it, that there have been systemic injustices by the federal government that have prevented people from gaining wealth in this country through homeownership intentionally. The Federal Housing Administration, the FHA, HUD, all of them played a part in redlining and intentionally preventing people from building wealth. And I think we need to lean into that as we're fighting back against this witch hunt against equity. I mean, I think that's just what it is. So yeah, that's where I'd like to really focus. As an organization, we are going to be hyper focused on homeownership stabilization. We think we're getting ready to go through some rough, rocky times, and need to put some intentionality around existing homeowners and people who are going to struggle to maintain their homes through this storm, as taxes may be increased, as funds to help people do home repairs, and making sure that we're continuing to invest in people being educated about heirship and how to transfer property to the next generation. We're going to continue to invest in those areas. Although, I know that our home buyer and pre-home ownership work will get stalled. There's no doubt about it. That work will be stalled because the mortgages won't be there. Down payment and closing cost assistance funds won't be there. The market is not going to be in our favor for a while. And we still want to begin working with people. If you're just now getting in the game, we still want to provide the education, but with reality and being authentic and keeping people in the know about how difficult is it really going to be to get a mortgage to buy a home. It's going to be harder. So we're going to balance our focus and help people that we can become homeowners, but also hyper focused on stabilization. Because that is my fear. I'm afraid for the people who've been working hard to buy a home and to start a business, the rocky times that they're going to be going through, especially entrepreneurs. If you people who are buying materials and goods wholesale, they're going to be impacted by these tariffs, brick and mortar rents. Main streets are going to suffer because a lot of businesses won't make it through this storm. So we've got a lot of work to do. We've rolled up I'm actually away at a writing retreat right now, focused for the next 48 hours straight of writing grants and raising money so that we can continue to do this work. And quite honestly, it's because a lot of folks are not funding programming that is geared specifically to helping Black people become economically mobile. I mean, it's just the reality. But we're not giving up. We're going to continue to fight. And we're going to do the work in the spaces where we can do the work, and just encourage people not to give up.
Yeah, and can you give us a quick rundown of the Gatekeepers event that'll be coming up? What is that all about?
Yes. But, it was weird. I got this text from Michael Carroll and the Charlotte's Web team saying, hey, we want you to be on this panel about gatekeeping. And I was like, I don't think I'm the right I'm the right person to have this conversation, but I've always been intrigued by it because I don't know if I understand what it is myself. And that the event is going to be a really great conversation with some other amazing panelists, Mr. Fred Brown, Art Alexander, Majestic Lane, and myself are just going to have a conversation about what we think gatekeeping is. I think we found out that we all think of it differently. And really, I'm interested to hear what other people think gatekeeping means. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think I can be kept. Because I'm going where I really don't. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I'm saying that I am so deep in my purpose that there is nobody that can stop me. There's no door that you can close that I'm not going to find another way in. So I just see it differently. I think it's going to be a great conversation, but we're going to be at Emerald City on Sunday, April 27th. I think they're having food and drinks, and it's going to be a vibe. I think it'll be a really great conversation and some good networking.
Nice. Tammy Thompson, thank you so much for sitting down with us this evening. We're going to drop all of the links that we talked about so people can get in contact with you and your organization
Thank
as well.
you.
Yes. Yep. We'll have it
Hey,
there.
hey, Royce, you're really great at this job, by the way. You're a great interviewer. So thank you.
Thank you. You're great at your job. I'm just like, hey, you took the wheel. I just, asked the questions. You're the star. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, you guys. So, the One Hood Power Hour focuses on building power by reaching out to our communities who have been traditionally excluded, forgotten, and under-resourced. While we engage all voters, we specifically focus on the policies and platforms to improve the quality of life for our Black, people of the global majority, disabled, queer, youth, immigrant, and Muslim communities. With that said, please make sure that you support us today with a donation. Any donation counts, you guys. We're going to go ahead and make sure that we drop a link for you in the comments of wherever you are watching from so that you can have access to that donation link. Like I said, every dollar, every penny, everything counts. So we thank you for those of you who plan on supporting and those who have already supported for your continued support. Also, the Pittsburgh Comprehensive Plan, you guys, is hosting a public forum. They're asking the question, how do we transition to an economy that is fairer, healthier, and includes everyone? Those are a lot of questions, and we want you guys to get involved with that. That's going to be April 30th, okay? That's going to be from 5 to 8 p.m. at CCAC Allegheny Campus Student Services Center. The address is 839 Ridge Avenue. You do have to RSVP. We'll drop that information in the comments for you there as well. The comprehensive plan also is offering mini grants to help people who are interested in hosting mini engagement sessions. So make sure you apply before the deadline for that. That is April 30th. We talked about a lot of different policies today and how it impacts people's lives, but we know the one way that we can impact policy is through our vote. As you know, there's a primary election happening on May 20th. We've already hit that mark. So that's all good. The next thing we got to be talking about is April 27th. Thursday, April 27th. That's the Democratic mayoral debate with Ed Gainey and Corey O'Connor. We'll be taking those issues that matter to you to the center stage, you guys. That'll be moderated by Lisa Sylvester from WPXI. Shout out Lisa Sylvester. It'll be on WPXI, Facebook, and YouTube. If you guys want to tune into that, so that you can be informed and know what's going on and make an informed vote. All right, that's all we have for you this evening. Once again, I'm your host, Royce Jones. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.